I saw the message by chance. Her phone was just lying on the table, screen up. Let's meet at the same place today. I miss you. The sender's name was Jason, a name that shouldn't have been in her life. Emily and I had lived together for almost 5 years. We met at a contemporary art exhibition. She was standing in front of a strange installation, smiling as if she understood something inaccessible to others. I approached, pretending to be a connoisseur, though in reality I just wanted to talk to the girl whose smile seemed to me the most interesting exhibit in the hall. Impressive, isn't it? I asked, nodding at the chaotic pile of metal pipes. Absolutely meaningless, she laughed. But it's fun to watch people trying to find deep meaning in it. Her honesty won me over. That same evening we were drinking coffee in a small cafe across from the exhibition center, and a month later I couldn't imagine life without her. Emily wasn't just beautiful, she was real. At least, that's what I thought. Until that message, I didn't make a scene right away. Something inside demanded proof, certainty, before destroying what we had built over years. Perhaps it was cowardice, or on the contrary, common sense. I decided to follow her. Emily said she would be late from work, a common occurrence for Tuesday. She worked at a PR agency, and crunch times happened regularly. I nodded, kissed her goodbye, and said I would wait at home. But I got in my car and parked 2 blocks from her office. The waiting was exhausting. Every time the office building door opened, I flinched. An hour passed, then another. I was beginning to think I had made a mistake, that the message had some innocent explanation. And then I saw her. She came out of the building, but didn't go to the bus stop or parking lot. Instead, Emily quickly crossed the street and headed toward the residential blocks. Following someone turned out to be more difficult than they show in movies. I was afraid of losing sight of her, but even more afraid she would notice me. A couple of times she looked around, and I froze, hiding behind passers-by or corners of buildings. My heart was pounding, so hard it seemed its beat could be heard throughout the street. Emily stopped at an unremarkable 3-story building of old construction. She took out keys. She had keys! Exclamation, and disappeared inside. I stood across the street, trying to figure out what to do next. A light came on the 3rd floor. I saw silhouettes, 2 silhouettes. They moved closer to each other, and I turned away. Some things are better not seen with your own eyes. I returned home late. Emily wasn't back yet. I poured myself whiskey, a drink I usually didn't touch, and sat in the darkness of the living room. My thoughts were jumbled. Memories of our life together flashed before my eyes, but now each one seemed fake, counterfeit. I remembered how 6 months ago Emily started staying late at work more often, how new perfume appeared, which she used only on certain days, how her mood changed after work meetings. All the signs were in plain sight, but I refused to notice them. The door opened around 11. Emily entered, slightly flushed, with sparkling eyes. "You're not asleep?" she asked with surprise, turning on the light. "Why are you sitting in the dark?" "Thinking," I replied, watching her. She came over and kissed me on the cheek. She smelled of someone else's cologne. "Tough day?" she asked, taking off her coat. "Very." I took a sip of whiskey. "Who is Jason?" Emily froze for a second. Just for a second, but it was enough. "Jason?" she asked, carefully feigning bewilderment. "Oh, you mean the new client?" "Jason Miller, the restaurant chain owner. We were discussing promotion strategy today." She lied so convincingly that for a moment I almost believed her. Almost. "And do you often discuss strategies in his apartment on North Street?" The color drained from her face. She sank into the chair opposite me as if her legs had given out. "You followed me?" Her voice sounded both indignant and frightened. "I saw the message on your phone," I replied calmly. Surprisingly, I really was calm, as if I were observing what was happening from the outside. "Let's meet at the same place today. I miss you." Very professional communication with a client. "You went for my phone?" Now there was real indignation in her voice. "No, The message came when the phone was lying on the table. I just saw it. I took another sip. How long has this been going on, Emily? She was silent, looking at the floor. Then she raised her eyes. There were tears in them. 3 months, she said quietly. I didn't want it to happen this way. It just happened. Nothing just happens. I shook my head. You made a choice. Every time you lied to me about staying late at work, every time you went to him, every time you came home and kissed me as if nothing had happened. A heavy silence hung in the room. I waited for justifications, explanations, but Emily was silent. And this silence hurt more than any words. I love you, she finally said. I really do. With Jason, it's different. It's not love. Then what is it? I asked, feeling a wave of anger rising inside me. Entertainment? An experiment? What exactly made you destroy everything we had? I don't know, she shook her head. Maybe boredom, maybe fear that life is passing by. He showed up at a corporate party, was so different, confident, assertive. It just turned my head. I listened to her and didn't recognize her. A strange woman was sitting in front of me, speaking in my Emily's voice. Were you going to tell me? Or did you plan to live a double life until I accidentally found out? I was going to end it, she quickly replied. Today I went to him for that very reason. I wanted to say it was over. And did you say it? I looked her straight in the eyes. She averted her gaze, and that was more eloquent than any words. I tried, she whispered, but it's complicated. I laughed bitterly. You know what's really complicated? Trusting someone with everything you have, heart, soul, future, and then finding out that it means nothing to them. That's not true, she exclaimed. You mean everything to me, except for those evenings when you're with him. I finished my whiskey in one gulp. Pack your things, Emily. I can't be in the same space with you. What? She looked confused. You're kicking me out? No, I'll leave myself. I'll spend the night at a hotel, and tomorrow I'll find an apartment. You'll have time to gather everything you need. But this is our home. We can fix everything. There was desperation in her voice. It was our home, I corrected her. Now it's just a place where I can no longer live. A place soaked in lies. I stood up, feeling a strange lightness, as if the decision made had lifted a weight from my shoulders. I went to the bedroom, took out a travel bag, and began to pack the essentials. Emily followed me, continuing to talk about love, about how people make mistakes, about second chances. Her words passed by my consciousness without touching it. I methodically packed my things as if performing routine work. Don't go, she grabbed my arm when I zipped up the bag. Please, give me a chance to explain everything. We can go to a psychologist, fix our relationship. I carefully freed my arm. You know what's the scariest thing, Emily? Not the infidelity itself, but the fact that I now can't believe a single word you say. Every I love you, every promise, every smile, everything could be fake. And I don't want to live in a world where I have to constantly doubt the sincerity of the person closest to me. I took the bag and headed for the exit. Emily rushed after me, continuing to say something through tears. At the threshold, I turned around. Send me a message when you take your things. You can leave the keys with the neighbor. The door slammed behind me. It was quiet and cool in the corridor. I stood, leaning against the wall, trying to realize that I had just crossed out 5 years of life. 5 years that now seemed like an illusion. The phone vibrated in my pocket. Emily. I rejected the call and went down the stairs. A week passed. I rented a small apartment near work and immersed myself in projects, trying to occupy every minute, so there was no time for reflection. Emily called every day, wrote messages that I didn't read. Colleagues noticed changes in my mood, but didn't ask questions, for which I was grateful. On Friday evening, returning home, I saw her. She was standing at the entrance of my new home, wrapped in a coat. How did you know the address? I asked instead of greeting. Your sister told me, she replied. Don't be angry with her. I said it was urgent. What do you want, Emily? To talk. Just 5 minutes. Her eyes were red from tears. Please. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face, another part to hug her and say everything would be okay. I chose the neutral option. 5 minutes. No more. We went up to the apartment. Emily looked around bare walls, minimal furniture, boxes I hadn't yet unpacked. It's cozy here, she said uncertainly. Did you come to discuss my interior? She shook her head. I broke up with Jason for good the same evening you left. Congratulations, I replied dryly. Is that all? No, she took a deep breath. I know I betrayed your trust. I know I caused pain. And I understand that I may never be able to fix it, but I want to try. Why? I asked. Why do you need this? You had a choice, Emily, and you made it. Because I love you, she answered simply. What was with Jason? It was madness and obsession. I can't explain or justify it, but it's not love. Love is what I feel for you. I looked at her and saw the woman I once considered part of myself, the woman I had planned to spend my whole life with. But now a wall of lies and betrayal stood between us. Love doesn't lie, I said quietly. Love doesn't betray. People make mistakes. Her voice trembled. Even those who love, especially those who love. Because love makes us vulnerable, makes us afraid that we are not worthy, that we are missing something important. I made a terrible mistake, and I will pay for it all my life. But please don't cross out everything that was between us because of my weakness. She took a step toward me, but I stepped back. Your 5 minutes are up, I said. I need to work. Okay, she nodded. I'll leave. But before you completely erase me from your life, read this. Emily took an envelope from her bag and put it on the table. What is this? A letter. I wrote it for 3 days. It contains everything I feel, what I think about, the whole truth, without embellishment. Read it when you're ready, and if after that you still don't want to see me, I'll accept it. She headed for the door, but stopped at the threshold. I'll wait, she said quietly, as long as it takes. The door closed. I was left alone in the empty apartment, looking at the envelope. Inside, conflicting feelings were fighting anger, pain, longing, and somewhere deep a quiet hope that I was carefully suppressing. I didn't read the letter right away. I put it in a desk drawer and tried to get back to work. But my thoughts kept returning to Emily, to her words, to the expression in her eyes. 3 days passed. I worked like a man possessed, met with friends, even went on a date arranged by a colleague, but nothing could fill the emptiness inside. And every evening I returned home and looked at the desk drawer where the unread letter lay. On the 4th day, I couldn't stand it anymore. I took out the envelope, opened it, and began to read. My dear, I've been thinking for a long time about how to start this letter. With apologies? But no sorry will fix what I did. With explanations? But there are no excuses for betrayal. So I'll start with the only thing I'm absolutely sure of. I love you. I've loved you since the first day we met, and will love you until my last breath. You asked why I did it. The honest answer, I don't know. Maybe it was fear of the ordinary, of life turning into routine. Maybe it was a stupid attempt to prove to myself that I'm still desirable, that I can evoke and mend the madness I once saw in your eyes. Maybe it was weakness of character and ability to say no when I should have. Jason appeared at a moment when I felt especially vulnerable. You were absorbed in a new project. We hardly talked. I don't blame you. You were building our life, our future. But I felt lonely, and he was there, giving compliments, listening. The first time it happened after a corporate party. I was slightly drunk and very unhappy. He offered to drive me home, but instead we went to his place. In the morning I hated myself, swore it wouldn't happen again. But a week later I was in his apartment again, and then again, and again. Each time promising myself it was the last time. Each time returning home with a sense of guilt that was eating away at my soul. You asked if I was going to tell you. Yes, I was. Many times I started the conversation, but chickened out at the last moment, afraid of losing you, afraid of seeing contempt in your eyes. And I continued to live a double life, hating myself more and more each day. That evening when you followed me, I really went to Jason to end it all, but he didn't take it seriously. Said I was just nervous, that over time I would get used to the situation, offered a drink to relax, and I was again too weak to insist on my own. When you asked about Jason, I felt both horror and relief at the same time. Horror that you found out, relief that I no longer needed to lie, but even then I couldn't be completely honest. Continued to wriggle out to withhold. Forgive me for that. After you left, I went to Jason, said it was over between us. He was angry, threatened to tell you everything if I didn't stay. I replied that you already knew, and I had nothing more to lose. It was the only moment in recent months when I felt strong. Now I walk around the empty apartment that used to be our home and remember every moment spent with you, every smile, every touch, and I can't believe that with my own hands I destroyed what was dearest to me. I'm not asking you to come back, not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know what was between us is real. My love for you is real, and if someday you find the strength to give me a second chance, I will do everything to earn your trust. I will fight for us every day. I will prove that a person can change if they have a sufficiently important reason, and you are the most important reason in my life. I will wait a day, a month, a year, as long as it takes. And if your answer is no, I'll understand. But no, whatever happens next, you will forever remain the love of my life. Dear Emily, I finished reading the letter and sat for a long time, staring into space. Emotions were raging inside: pain, anger, longing, hope. I didn't know what to feel, what to think, what to do next. The phone vibrated. A message from Emily. I'm not expecting an immediate answer. I just want you to know I'm here, and I will always be here for you. I looked at the screen, at her words, and realized I was at a crossroads. I could let go of the past, start life with a clean slate, without Emily. Or I could take a risk, give us a second chance, knowing that the road to rebuilding trust would be long and painful. I wasn't ready to make a decision now. The wound was too fresh, the pain too strong, but somewhere deep inside flickered the thought that perhaps not all was lost. That sometimes people really do deserve a second chance, and that real love is not cloudless happiness, but the ability to go through trials and emerge stronger. I put the phone in my pocket without answering the message. I needed time to heal wounds, time to understand what I really want, time to decide whether the past is worth fighting for the future. And for now, I'll just keep living, day by day, step by step. And maybe someday I'll be ready to open my heart again. Maybe someday I'll be able to forgive. Maybe someday Emily and I will be able to start anew, no longer as naive lovers, but as people who have learned the price of mistakes and the value of forgiveness. Maybe someday, but not today.